Welcome back to a new episode of the Interview Playlist. Our special guest for today is Rayan. Rayan, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi. My name is Rayan Muqdad. I'm in third year electrical engineering at McMaster. And yeah, you can ask any questions.
Awesome. So let's start from the very beginning. What high school did you go to?
I went to Vincent Massey Secondary School here in Windsor. And yeah, I took a lot of like coding classes in grade 11 and 12. And yeah.
All right, so what sparked your interest in programming and coding and then eventually electrical engineering?
Yeah, so actually what's interesting is I took coding classes in high school because I thought that I could be more artistic with it. So I saw someone doing a paint project, which is one project that we do in one of our coding classes. And I saw that she was being very creative with it. So she did her own like art style with it. And I thought that was pretty cool. So I wanted to do that in high school as well. So I did, I went into coding with that mindset, like to be creative and artistic. Um, and those courses actually did make me more creative and artistic. I kind of got to do my own thing with a lot of the projects in that way. And it kind of led me to that interest, you know?
Awesome. And do you want to mention some coding projects which you worked on?
Yeah. So I did the paint project that I mentioned before, where we kind of got to recreate Microsoft Paint using Python, which was actually pretty cool. And we got to do like our own designs with it, putters and use colors and all that. And then in that year, I was also able to create a little Mario kind of recreation with that. So it was pretty cool. I used Python as well. And I got to make like 2 or 3 different levels of Mario with the Goombas and Koopas and all that. It was pretty fun. And then in the later year, I actually worked with Java. So we got to do a lot of different projects with that. I did a project where I recreated like a pool game in a way. So with like using different art styles that I had chosen, like slime or like different designs that we used for pool as well. And it was pretty fun. And yeah, and that was like in the high school projects as well. So I had a few more university projects that I actually went into. And one of them is like creating a device where we had to code in Python and C++, where we actually took a device into a hallway and it scanned the hallway and then recreated a visual representation, a 3D representation of the hallway on Python. So that was pretty cool as well.
Awesome. Did you have any other interests before entering university? Like, were you considering other career options besides electrical engineering? And what led you to the final decision of pursuing electrical engineering?
Yeah, 100%. I had a lot of different ideas of what I wanted to go into before university. I was actually more going towards architecture because again, I was, more interested in art and I wanted to create things and build things. And so I was taking a lot of art classes in high school, and that kind of led me towards thinking I might want to do architecture. But when I had to decide in the final moment, I decided to go into engineering because I knew that engineering was a very broad, it was a very broad program. So you can do a lot of things with engineering. It's not just like a one idea kind of thing. So I thought I could go into engineering and implement a lot of my ideas that I want to do and put in my own creative aspects with it and have fun with it. So that's why I chose to go into engineering. And then in university, to decide whether I want to go into electrical or any other stream of engineering, it was kind of a bit different because in first year, it's kind of broad. So you don't have to actually choose a stream that you want to take. So there's civil, electrical, mechanical. I was interested in all of it. But again, I wanted to make sure that I had all options for me when I would to graduate. So I decided on electrical as well because it is a very broad one as well. And there's a lot of different jobs that I can get with it, and I can do my own twists with it. So yeah.
Fantastic. And how did you find the university experience comparing it to high school? Was it challenging? And what I would say, like, what are some stuff that you adopted, which eventually helped you in your university?
Yeah. High school was a lot different than university, of course. And I had learned to, like from high school, I had learned to probably talk with a lot of people more. Because university, you kind of have to make it for yourself. In high school, a lot of things are given to you. Meanwhile, in university, you have to like seek it out for yourself in a way. So you have to make sure that you're doing things for yourself. So when I went to university, I realized there's a big shift with like assignments being given. Like you have to make sure you're on top of things yourself. People aren't going to remind you. So I had to learn organized with myself, and also to make friends as well, because university is kind of hard to do alone, and you have to make sure that you're with other people, you have friends to keep you on track as well, and also just to give you some social benefits as well, you know.
Yeah, for
Mhm.
sure. How did you find the social life of high school compared to university?
Yeah. Um, in high school, well, for me, university started off with being online. So it was kind of hard to make friends at the beginning, right? Because online you don't really get to make those face-to-face connections. And in high school, it was a lot easier only because it was, you know, in person, and you kind of had to you had classes with a lot of people that you already knew from grade school, for example. So you've known people for your whole life, but in university, you kind of have to start that up for yourself again. And in online, especially, it was kind of hard. But one thing I would do is, you know, join clubs. I would make sure to join study groups and make friends that way, because it would be productive to make friends in study groups as well. And it would also benefit my social life. So it is very different. But again, you have to make it for yourself. So you have to seek out those opportunities. You have to make sure that you're looking for it, and you're making those for yourself. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And how did you find the interaction with the professors and the teaching instructors, comparing that to high school teachers?
Yeah, it's very different. Like I said before, it's a very different environment. The teachers are always like keeping you on track. In high school, they remind you about things, about deadlines. University, they don't really. Um, but what I found with university is I've actually created a stronger connection with my profs in university, which is kind of interesting. It's kind of different than what I was used to in high school, only because I would go up after class and just ask for help, ask for any help during office hours, or like any advice they have for the course. And that kind of made a huge difference for me. It made me grow a stronger connection with the profs, and helped me understand the course a lot more too, just because I understand it from their point of view, and what we're expected to learn. So it is a lot different through, you know, between high school and university. But honestly, with university, you have a lot more freedom with talking to the profs and making better connections like that. So I found it a lot easier for me in university.
Awesome. And the program you're currently pursuing has a co-op option. Have you done any co-op terms so far?
Yeah, actually, I did 8 months of co-op with Reams Technology, which is in Windsor. Um, However, the co-op that I've done is not really related to electrical engineering. I did it more related to mechanical. And that's actually what helped me decide I wanted to go into electrical as well. Because when I did mechanical work at Reams Technology, I realized that's not something I wanted to do, although it's something I'm very interested in, and it was a very good co-op, very good experience. It just helped me decide that I wanted to work more with the electrical components. And yeah, so like at the company I was working for, we were creating like a pill capsule machine. So we are working on all the different components, parts using AutoCAD Inventor, which is a 3D modeling software. So that's what I was put on task for. I was creating all the 3D models of each component. And that was really fun. It's just once I saw the pill capsule machine being created, I realized that there's a lot more electrical components that go into it as well. And I found that a lot more interesting than creating the parts and building it. But it was very cool to see like the parts come to life and actually become like a 3D thing, 3D structure. But yeah.
Awesome. So, since the co-op is mostly about integrating or like working on basically interacting with the tasks on hand and having a hands-on experience, how did you use the knowledge that you gained from university and apply the theoretical concepts? How did you establish the connection?
Yeah, so in my first year of engineering, I actually used a lot of 3D modeling, using a lot of AutoCAD. It was in our projects, our labs. So I was already very used to using AutoCAD Inventor, and that helped me, apply that in a job setting as well. But it was also the other things that you don't really necessarily physically see that you have to learn. So for example, we had a lot of group projects, and that helps you a lot with learning how to work with other people in a job setting, right? In our projects in first year, we had to work with a client actually for our last project, where we worked with a client who had struggles, using who had struggles with motion without feeling so tired and stuff. So we wanted to help her with her artistic abilities. So for example, she wanted to paint and have artistic freedom in that way without the strain on her arm. So we had helped her create a canvas that helped her with an armrest as well. And so it was pretty cool. We got to like implement everything into that project. And I took that experience from that project and put it into my co-op, where, we were working with clients. We were working with how to create this machine based on clients specifications, right? So I kind of learned a lot from that project and implemented it into my co-op, as well as working with other people. I worked with senior engineers and tried optimizing the machine, optimizing certain components of the machine. So you kind of learn a lot from the projects that you do in the engineering field, and then apply it into your co-op as well. So, yeah.
Fantastic. After you completed your internship experience or co-op, how did your mindset change or like mentality when approaching the courses?
Mhm. Yeah, it's kind of funny because when I went in co-op, I realized like there's a lot of stuff that you learn and you don't kind of use a lot in the job, but what I found was it's kind of, you learn a lot more on the job than you do in school, and it's because of the hands-on components that you get, right? And so what I try to do now in my schooling, based on doing interview during my intern, I now try doing a lot more stuff hands-on or like by myself. So like, for example, if there's like a group assignment or something, I try to like review it over myself and see how I can make it like more hands-on for myself, make it more understandable for myself, just because there's a lot of stuff in the job where you're like, okay, I learned about this in theory, but I don't know how to apply it, right? So you have to kind of learn based on that, like how do you apply it in real life? Because there's a lot of stuff you learn and you don't kind of understand it fully, right? And how you'd implement it. So yeah, I'd say I just look through and I try implementing, or I try focusing more on the projects and assignments that are given rather than just like theory work. Of course, theory helps a lot in understanding, but it's the hands-on components that really sticks with you. And so I focus more on those components. Yeah.
Awesome. Are you involved in any extracurriculars or like student clubs on campus, which would like enrich your student experience?
Yeah. You're asking about extracurriculars, sorry? You kind of
Yeah,
cut out there. Yeah,
yeah.
okay, perfect. Okay. Yeah, so Actually, initially when I was in first year, I wasn't doing a lot of like any technical clubs. I was doing more social driven clubs. So like I was a part of the culture committee where we were trying to improve the culture around engineering, have fun, make events for engineering students just to like make a stress reliever, I guess. Um, and that actually helped a lot with creating a community. And that is something that's overlooked a lot of the times because it doesn't relate specifically to electrical engineering, but it helped me create a community there, and it helped me, meet a lot of people in my field, and I got to make a lot of connections there and friends, and now I have like a good study group from that as well. So it's a lot of those kind of clubs that you wouldn't expect to help you in a career, but it really does, and it teaches you a lot about communication, about organization, about planning. And that's something that I was really into and I really wanted to do with clubs like that in first year. Um, but now I have been trying to do more technical clubs, only to see how I can implement all the things that I've learned throughout my degree and put it into a project or like an extracurricular, because it is important as well, to actually implement the things that you're learning, right? So currently I'm a part of IEEE. So it's where electrical and computer engineering students kind of do our own thing. We create a lot of workshops for students in ECE. And actually, I just finished a workshop for Arduinos. So Arduinos are microcontrollers, basically, and you can like create a lot of stuff with it. So we kind of focused on 5 different projects that you can create using an Arduino, and we taught it to a bunch of students in electrical and computer engineering, and it was really fun to see. I saw a lot of people learn a lot more about Arduinos, and I even learned a lot more about Arduinos as well, and a lot about programming and wiring and all the electrical components that go into it. So that was pretty cool. And yeah, like there's a lot that you can learn from extracurriculars and a lot that other people can learn as well. And so yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's very inspiring. How do you maintain your mental and physical well-being during the school year?
Sorry, you cut out there.
Yeah, so I was asking, how do you maintain your mental and physical well-being during the school year?
Hmm. Um, yeah, it's hard because I could say I was perfect at it, but it's hard to maintain a lot of the times. But there are some things that I do that help with it, of course. So one thing for sure is I keep going back to this, but like have a social life in a way. So I make sure to have people around me all the time, make sure I made friends in my program as well, just to see that I'm not alone in this program. I'm not the only one struggling as well sometimes. And so it's good to have that support group, or like even just one support friend, to make sure that your mental health your mental health as well. Um, and one other thing is like to keep organized. So I kind of make sure that all my tasks are organized in a way where I can see what I have to do, and I can see with the time frame that I have to complete it. And that helps a lot because you kind of don't want to just wake up one day and be like, oh, I have 17 things due today. It's kind of really good to stay ordered throughout the year, because that helps a lot. And like as well, extracurriculars in something that you're interested in. That helps keep you motivated to stay in a degree or in a field that you're interested in. Sometimes it can be draining and you don't want to continue with it, but then the extracurriculars and the stuff that you're actually interested in will keep you will keep you motivated to keep going. Right. So it's good to have things that keep you going, keep you motivated, so that you're still, inspired, and you can keep going throughout your years of schooling.
Nice. Okay, what are some advices you would like to give to high school students who are indecisive of the program they want to enter at the university?
Yeah. Hmm. I would say I would say to probably ask around, see try finding people in different areas of programs, different fields, and like message them anywhere, like talk to them, talk to different people, because you never know, something like someone might say to you might inspire you for a different degree that you haven't even thought of, right? So it's good to keep talking with people, to make connections like that, because like overall they'll help a lot. And you can get advice from so many different people. You can meet so many people that would inspire you in ways that you didn't know. So I'd say try getting advice from different people in different degrees, so you're not focused on just one. Um, and yeah, and like focus on your own interests. If there's something that you're like even slightly interested in, maybe look into it more as well, and you'll get more out of that too. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being a guest speaker on my channel, and for the inspiration that you gave us.
Thank you so much for having me.